This is the driving review of the Mercedes EQC. Let's go! In the front you can see there is this black panel design, so it does somewhat look different, looks somewhat electric, especially if you pick this base electric trim, so to say, and they use those blue contrast for their electric EQ brand. How do you like this front appearance? And the headlamps, they start directly with the LED high beam light, the special one, the multi-beam, how Mercedes calls it. So there's a lot of standard equipment already with this car, and the pricing is also very interesting. I'll also tell you more about that later. The length is at 4.76 meters, 15'6" or 187 inches. And that's a little bit longer than the Mercedes GLC, the combustion engine brother. And also, if you think about the electric competitors, a little bit longer than the Jaguar I-Pace, but a little bit shorter than the Audi e-tron and also a little bit shorter than the Tesla Model X. Here in the rear, it's all defined by this light strip that goes all around right there. I think it's a beautiful LED signature. And in the lower part, there are, some bright contrast right there. But overall, a very clean and sleek design. And by the way, the trunk we open by flipping this Mercedes logo here. That's very interesting. And in the interior part, you'll also see how much space there is actually left. This is the car key, it's slim and light. We also know it from an E-Class or, for example, it's pretty good. You can also use your smartphone with NFC to open and close the car. That would also be an option. Other than that, door closing sound. Pretty solid. And then inside of the doors with a nice leatherette cover. This is available in different colors, by the way. Also the inserts here, you get a dark open cell matte wood that feels very good, natural, and as there's also a bright version I would recommend. There's also carbon fiber look available and aluminum, and also a so-called matrix style like with the dot structure. So those are all the ones that are available. There are a lot of different seats available. Those ones here are called Sunnyvale, and then you get either beige, this bright fabric on the inside, or a blue one, and on the outside you have some Artico leatherette. And my seating position here on the driver's seat, headroom wise, with one with 86 or 6'1", still some left, even though there's the panoramic roof here. It's not too high, of course, but still okay. Seat controls at the inside of the doors, as you know it from Mercedes. And again, this lower part can be also put back in again, if you like, depending on the length of your legs. It's a comfortable seating position. I have no possibility to test the base seats here today. I can just tell you that those optional, a little bit sportier seats, they're not too sporty, so they offer you a decent comfort. We've also been driving a couple of hours now, and I can, just say positive things about the seats also long-term perspective. This is the interior overview, and somewhat, of course, you resemble the Mercedes concept here from those new cars that you have those freestanding displays. This is also standard here for the EQC. That's good. No, like this is optional, and also comes directly with the MBUX, the system, which has also a new voice input. On the right thumb here, you can control the right screen, but also with touch, but also then with this lower touchpad, that's also possible for redundant controls, you can call those. On the left side here, usually you use your left thumb to control the digital instruments right there. You can also change something from the views. And what I also want to show you is the GPS, because that works very well and also is quite responsive. Connecting the smartphone will also be possible, of course. This EQ here, by the way, is like when you press the separate button on the lower middle console. Comfort, this is here, this so-called energizing comfort control, that the seats are adjusted a little bit while driving from the normal controls to create less fatigue. Then here with apps, you will be able to have the smartphone connection either with Android Auto or with Apple CarPlay with your cable. They do not offer the wireless connection yet. So I think here everything is quite easy to control. Bluetooth connection is, of course, also still available. And what about this voice control? Hey Mercedes.
How may I help you?
Find me a hotel in Oslo. So let's see.
Please select an entry.
Ah, there we have some hotels in Oslo. This is not an advertisement, by the way. I wish those hotels would pay us, but they don't. So those digital instruments are very clear to read, and you also have a lot of different options. You can also put the GPS right in there if the road would be mapped at the moment. So that's possible. Or the telephone information, you can also change what you want to see on the head-up display. And also can go different designs. This is a so-called progressive design, but you also go like this, classic and sport. I have the seat as I would be driving, and you have those gaps at the back of the seat, so it still leaves some knee room here. It's not like super ample of space, but you can easily sit here also as a tall adult. Headroom-wise, that's also still okay for me. So 4 tall adults can be housed right here. If you compare to an Audi e-tron, that one is a little bit bigger car, therefore you also have a little bit more space. But they drive a little bit different also, so we'll tell you more about it when we drive the car soon. And of course, the question is always how far you want to go on the dimensions from the exterior, depending on the country you live in. Now what about the trunk? Again, we flip the Mercedes logo right there. And here we go. Of course, you lose a little bit in height. It's 500 liters here. This is a little bit wobbly. There's no rail at the side. 550 liters, it would be for the GLC, by the way. So, yeah, a little bit less, but still somewhat okay. Some more space below here. The horsepower figure is, by the way, 408. So 408 horsepower, and acceleration figure to 100 kilometers or 62 miles now is 5.1 seconds. Wait a minute, a GLC 43 is 4.9 seconds, so it really comes close to it, and the pricing is very interesting. In Germany, the price is at 70,000 euros, or 71,000 euros, and if you then deduct the governmental benefits and so on, you would almost get the price of a GLC 43. But the thing is that this one here comes with a lot of standard equipment, so usually with Mercedes, you hardly get anything, and then you have extra price, extra price, extra price, extra price. And this car here already comes with a really, you will soon see it on the interior, with a lot of equipment, which is standard equipment then. And I think, it's still a very expensive vehicle. But considering other Mercedes for, in this region, this one then is, at Mercedes, a quite good deal price-wise. People say electric vehicles have a lot of power. Is that true? Let's go. Plop, and that's already 100 kilometers an hour or 62 miles. And probably heard also some bottles at the inside of the doors were flying all over the place. Wow. And that was really powerful, and indeed it comes to my theory that this one here can also be somewhat a replacement for a GLC 43 AMG. I like driving a GLC, yes, already. This one here is way heavier than the GLC, but the funny thing is that it feels more agile. The center of gravity is lower because the heavy battery pack, 650 kilograms, is really, put in the bottom of the vehicle. That makes it sports car-like from the driving feeling. So although it's really heavy, it drives sportier than it should be from the figures. That's really interesting, and it's a lot of fun here in the corners when we just have the cruise control and about 80 or 100 kilometers set. Then you can actually reach a consumption of about, let's see, it says at the moment, yeah, we're going towards 14 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. That's of course then the ultra low figure, but the more we drive, the more average we get then. So we'll take a look at that. 20, if you have some acceleration in there, is surely a realistic figure. And if we think about 20 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers, then it would indeed be some 400 kilometers in range, or that's about 250 miles in range as a realistic figure. And I'm pretty sure we'll also reach soon about 20 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers here. And it's very important here for electric vehicles to talk about the recuperation, to gain back the energy. And there's this auto mode. So the car decides itself, also according to, GPS data, for example, and what's coming ahead. It's very interesting. Usually you can leave it like this. So at the moment here, for example, we're going downhill, but the car is then maybe not decelerating enough, and then I can set the left shifting pedal, put it to D minus, and you can see I now have to accelerate again to even it out. This is in the very hard recuperation, so D minus. So I can put the right shifting pedal to go to D minus. So right shifting pedal is less recuperation, left is more. And now to our conclusion for today with the Mercedes EQC. From the styling, you either have more electric styling, or especially if you go for an AMG line exterior, it looks more GLC-ish. I think overall this crossover look works for a lot of people. I also, talked about some people passing by, and they were all very interested or enthusiastic about this vehicle. So obviously it does work. On the inside, I think even better, they found an own styling there. Some elements, of course, you see that it's basically a GLC platform, and that's, I think, not a bad thing at all. The GLC is a good mid-size SUV. But I really like those unique styling elements they found there on the interior. For example, those really touchable horizontal fins there. And great seating choices they offer here. This is really high class, at the same time sustainable, and really different choices you want to have with microfiber, fabric, or all the way leatherette and so on. So really cool styling. And power performance wise, I mean here 765 Newton meters of torque. Not this one, not under the hood, but the electric motors then placed a little bit lower. So very interesting power wise. It was a great agile handling. I had so much fun driving this car, and that really speaks for it. The Audi e-tron, by the way, was also a lot of fun. I think this one maybe feels a little bit more agile even, and I think it has a little bit more class design-wise than the Jaguar I-Pace. The Tesla, they feel less agile, are also a little bit lower in the build quality, for example, are not as silent as the Audi and the Mercedes when you drive higher speeds, for example, as for noise insulation. Then again, the Teslas also have their special unique selling points with the infotainment system, with the Google integration and so on, and with a very calm design overall. The Tesla Model X, of course, very special with those captain seats where you can get in if you have the 6-seater setup. So all have their unique selling point. But I think now, after driving this one here, it comes close somewhat to Mercedes customers because it's a very comfortable ride. At the same time, they keep the Mercedes design styling elements. So I think this vehicle will work pretty well. What do you think? And I want to close our conclusion here with a Oslo city view and also our final conclusion on the consumption and the range. Because as we've driven the car more and more, it became a more realistic average. The new WLTP figure, so the official driving cycle, is between 25 and 22 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. And those new WLTP figures are also more realistic than the old consumption figures were. And the one we could score here ourselves is an average of 23 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. That is somewhat comparable to the consumption of the competitors, yes. And as for the range, if you calculate here with a battery pack, we can say that the effective range then would be about 350 kilometers or 220 miles. So, those were our impressions here of the Mercedes EQC. Different things we've been showing you today here. I think, well, we enjoyed it really, driving this car, and I hope you also enjoyed it here together with us. Please leave us your comments to the EQC and also tune into the competitor reviews, the Audi e-tron, the Jaguar I-Pace, Tesla Model X. We'll also link those in the video description. And also tell me, would you consider this here as a replacement for a GLC 400 or a GLC 43? We're looking forward to your remarks, and please join us next time.